Chelsea and Graham Potter are seriously struggling at the moment. The manager looks rather bemused and confused on the touchline, while his team selections are, well, odd. So why don't we give him a hand? Let's have a look at what's actually going wrong at Chelsea and try to fix it. Today we're going to be proposing a new formation for Chelsea to try and increase and improve their fortunes. Please make sure you like the video and subscribe, it really would mean a lot to me. But now, let's talk about how to improve Chelsea. Things clearly aren't going well for Chelsea at the moment, so we're going to be having a look at what they're doing so wrong and try to fix that. Before we try to fix that, let's talk about how they've set up in their previous match and then try to iterate on that and try to improve it. So, we have them set up here. We have the team that Graham Potter picked for the game against Southampton. They obviously set up in a 4-2-3-1 with Azpilicueta, Koulibaly, Badiashile and Chilwell. Now, I don't want to focus too much on the personnel, but I'm going to mention some players that I really don't think are in correct positions, and some players that I just don't think should be picked at the moment. For example, we're going to talk about Kovacic here. Kovacic can't work next to Enzo Fernandez because he just doesn't have the same work rate. Kovacic isn't as defensively sound as someone like a Zakaria, and Enzo Fernandez isn't necessarily going to be able to be that destructive midfield breaker as well as a playmaker pushing balls out to the side that you need him to be. So with Kovacic, it's going to be a case of you need someone to help facilitate his own game as well as Enzo Fernandez, and just them playing in a pivot isn't really going to work. Zakaria is a far better fit in this kind of system, especially if you're going to be playing two holding central defensive midfielders. We're going to be moving forward, and I really want to talk about Mason Mount as well, because as much as I like Mount, he's just not a left winger, and I think Chelsea really got just outdone in this area because they just hampered themselves and nearly crippled themselves in going forwards. He's not going to make darting runs into the box. He wants to drift in field more often than not. He's not going to make darting runs into the channel. At the same time, while his pressing game is okay, he's also not really going to be the one that's initiating it. So this was a big red flag and a big no-no for me. Unfortunately, because of the Mason Mount scenario, I also think that has a massive impact on Madueke, because when you're looking to go down this channel, if you can't, you're going to want to go down here. And Madueke just at the moment just doesn't have the same presence as another player would. And while I understand that Raheem Sterling can fit in and out of this side, Madueke, with all his potential, just isn't quite there at the moment. Him and David Fofana just were left out in the cold, it seems. And Fofana, for as much as he did well in that Southampton game, I also don't think he really had the attacking presence that a Chelsea striker needs, or the attacking impotence going into the box that I think Chelsea were really looking for, which is why he got subbed off so early, and well, really as early as he did. Looking at the way this team plays, yes, they create a lot of chances, yes, they have a lot of quality going forwards, but that's only down to their individual brilliance. Mason Mount didn't really do anything to really hamper or control the midfield, and from his left wing position, he doesn't have the dynamism to be able to create an opportunity by himself. Joao Felix drifted in and out of the game, and he just really felt a little bit isolated. I didn't think he really offered everything too much, and then when he tried to link up play, it almost fell apart at the seams. Enzo Fernandez did break up some of the play, and he did manage to get some of the passes out to the wings and did try to rotate the ball, but again, it was a little bit in vain because of the way that Chelsea were set up. So overall, they lack a lot of dynamism down this left-hand side. They don't have enough defensive stability with Kovacic next to Enzo Fernandez because they just necessarily just don't really work together, I don't think. David Fofana has been thrown in almost as a Hail Mary, it seems, even though I don't think he's been bred into this system the way that he should be. And Madueke is really going to be a victim of all this, in the sense that if you can't go down one side, you have to go down this side, and a lot of pressure is going to be put on him. He isn't helped out by the fact that Azpilicueta is also there and isn't really going to be the dynamic right back that you need him to be. Admittedly, Reece James will come in and play that better role, but I just don't think him with Madueke is really going to work out. Chelsea need to be a fit and firing squad before they start improvising with these youngsters, and at the moment they're just not quite there. So overall, it just doesn't really work. So how could we change things? Well, I've got Chelsea set up here in a 4-3-3. It's an interesting 4-3-3, and it's the tactics that I think go along with some of these players that I think could really make this work. We're going to set up and start with Reece James at right back, Thiago Silva at centre back, with Badiashile and Ben Chilwell. If you want to swap in some of these players, you can do. For example, Cucurella could come in instead of Chilwell, Azpilicueta could come in instead of Reece James, and obviously some other players could be changed as well. But it's the midfield three that I really want you you to pay attention to. In fact, I'm going to highlight it for you right here. I've got Conor Gallagher next to Enzo Fernandez, next to Mateo Kovacic. Now, it might look like Enzo Fernandez is going to be the holding central defensive midfielder. However, that's not what I'm actually opting for. What I want is just a central midfielder rather than a central defensive midfielder. There is a difference. And when you look at it, I think you can have the likes of Conor Gallagher and Mateo Kovacic, who have the ability to go up and down the pitch and utilize their energy and their press to be able to help out Enzo Fernandez defensively. This hopefully means that all around him they're going to be having extra bodies, extra cover, which means that he can focus on his game in playing passes through into Sterling and into Mykhailo Mudryk. Speaking of which, let's talk about the front three, because it is a little bit different. Instead of Madueke, I've got Raheem Sterling on this right hand side, and I've got Mykhailo Mudryk instead of Mason Mount. Mason Mount unfortunately is in a bad run of form, and I don't think he should really be anywhere near this Chelsea team. Now, I'm sure you've seen that David Fofana is out of this, and so is Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, and that's because I've got Joao Felix in this central attacking role. I've said central attacking role instead of striker because I don't actually think he works as a number 9. I think he's going to be better as a false 9, dropping that little bit deeper and picking up the pockets of a central attacking midfielder to allow and bring players forward. If we imagine that a centre-back is here or a midfielder is here, he's going to drop in and follow Felix because of how dangerous he can be. He can lay the ball off to Conor Gallagher or Mateo Kovacic and allow the passes through into the wings where Sterling and Mudryk will be waiting. The one thing that Chelsea really have in abundance is absolute pace. So down the wings, I think we should be utilising their pace a lot more. And that's utilising the pace of Sterling, it's utilising the pace of Mudryk to allow them to really try and hit the byline. And hitting the byline is something that's going to be extremely crucial when attacking for Chelsea, because we are very, very well aware that Joao Felix is not a main central striker. We're also very, very well aware that Chelsea don't really have too many striking options. So how do we mitigate for that? I think that Pep Guardiola has done a very good job at utilising his team and their own possibilities, their own advantages, and they've created a system that allows them to score goals without a striker. And essentially, if you really drill down to the bare basics of it, that's to dominate the ball, which I think that Chelsea have the capabilities of doing. That's in hitting the wide areas and making sure that you can drive crosses into the box. Now, if you do that and you fill the box with enough players like a Mateo Kovacic, like a Conor Gallagher, you can get them driving and making late field runs. If you do that, I think you've got a much better chance of getting those goals. You're spreading around the goals into the midfield, you're allowing extra bodies into the box, and then you have the likes of Mykhailo Mudryk and Sterling, who also have their own individual ability. When Mudryk and Sterling decide to cut inside, you also then have the overlap of either Ben Chilwell or Reece James to come over the side, and that again creates those overlaps and creates opportunities to hit the byline or perhaps to play in across a little bit earlier. The options are endless with the amount of energy that you get from Conor Gallagher and Mateo Kovacic. Chelsea were a little bit stagnant with their 4-2-3-1. I don't think they really got hand of the dynamism they could possibly utilise. And with Mudryk, with Sterling, you have pace to burn. You also have the positioning awareness of Sterling and Mudryk, who has unbelievable individual quality. Now, it's going to take him time to understand when to go, when to not, but I do think that in working with the likes of Kovacic, working with the likes of Conor Gallagher, I do think he's not going to have to do too many defensive things, which means him and Sterling are going to be able to cheat on the line of offside, which is again something that Chelsea can really utilise. They drop back a little bit deeper, utilising the press from Gallagher and Kovacic. You can have Mudryk and Sterling allowed to try and beat an offside trap. You can see how this works in different ways, and in different multiple facets, it really can become a very dangerous tool. When you do commit one of the fullbacks forward, that's either Chilwell or Reece James, if you push either James or Chilwell forward, for example, we'll push James forward in this instance. If you push him forward, you can have Silva, Badiashile and Chilwell just step out into a back three. Now, with Thiago Silva, I understand one of the main issues with this is that perhaps you don't want Thiago Silva to be one of these right-hand centre-backs, which means that's fine, because eventually Thiago Silva isn't going to be there, which means you could have a Fofana there, you could have a Koulibaly there, but it's all about training and it's all about getting the players used to the system that you want them to play. And this system, I think, could really benefit Chelsea going forwards. Again, on the other side, same thing could happen. Ben Chilwell could move up to overlap with Mikhailo Mudryk. You could have Badiashile, Silva and James just move across, shuttle across, create that back three, and then you could have one of Gallagher or Kovacic move forward and enter the midfield. This is going to help out Felix, help out Sterling and help out Mudryk really go and drive towards the box, because Chelsea are struggling to score goals. And how do you fix that? You get more players into the box, you make sure you have more attacking opportunities, and it's the creation of the chances which isn't actually an issue, which is probably the most difficult thing. Putting them away isn't actually too hard, especially if you have the likes of quality of Kovacic, Gallagher, Felix, Sterling and Mudryk. All of them have the ability to score goals. Then you have the ticking, tocking nature of Enzo Fernandez. Yes, I did say ticking, tocking. I meant, you know what I meant. I meant to say that he has the ability to really shuffle around the ball and make sure that he can keep the play going. He's got a wand of a right foot on him, and I think he's got the quality to really find extra passes once he gets himself set up and embedded within this Chelsea system. So overall, how do you see this going? Well, it's going to be a very interesting one. I think it's something that Graham Potter should seriously consider doing. You have the dynamism of Sterling and Mudryk. Felix can drop into this almost centre-forward role to try and drag players out. He's also got the quality to beat some players, and he can get himself into the box more often than not. Conor Gallagher and Kovacic are my two main picks for this system, though. It doesn't work without these two. The energy around Enzo Fernandez is really going to help them drive forwards. The press that they could initiate, the press that they could help with the likes of Sterling and Mudryk, it could become a very, very dangerous proposition. High turnovers high up the pitch, especially with the likes of this high press from this five. Reece James and Ben Chilwell should be able to cover their sides as well. Then you have the actual tactical nous of Thiago Silva next to the extreme athletic nature of Badiashile. Overall, this system really does work for Chelsea in my opinion, and I think it's something they should seriously consider. It might help them creep back up the table. That's it for today, guys. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave the video with a like and subscribe if you haven't for more content like this coming very soon. Make sure you hit that notification bell as well. You don't want to miss what's coming up in the near future, and let me know your thoughts in the comment section below on Chelsea and how you think they should be changed. Let me know the personnel that you would go for and the formation that you would play to help improve Chelsea. I would love to hear from you. But like I said, that's it from me for today. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. And I hope to see you in the next one. But until then, my friends, take care of yourselves and bye-bye.